Yeah. Listen to Teatime with Honey Bee Kind. Beeline for the nectar, now we're gonna refine. Pure gold to the brain, no you cannot deny. Nutrition for the mind that will open up your eyes. Listen to Teatime with Honey Bee Kind. Beeline for the nectar, now we're gonna refine. Pure gold to the brain, no you cannot deny. Nutrition for the mind that will open up your eyes, yeah. Welcome to Teatime.
Hey guys, welcome to a special episode of a Cinematic Anarchy crossed with Teatime with Honey Bee Kind. You can't beat that. That's awesome right there. Today we are going to be talking about a very special movie that seems to have a very good connection with the status of politics that are going on today in this world. And that movie is Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. Today we have Honey Bee Kind with us, or Nicole.
Hello. Welcome.
Hello, and
Thank you.
we have Chris on the other side here going on. What's up, Chris?
Hello.
Right on.
I'm
Let's jump into this. Let's see what's going on here.
Omar's going to join us probably in the second half.
Sounds good?
Maybe. We'll see.
All right.
I haven't seen a single thing from him since he said, yeah, I'll be back maybe a little later. Maybe.
Maybe. That's always the special word right there. Maybe.
We are watching James Stewart in the 1939 Oscar award-winning movie, Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. And
Yes, sir.
if there was ever a movie from almost 100 years ago that was just as important to watch as it today as it was back then, this is it.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I was honestly, I wasn't sure when I first saw it on Prime. You guys had told me about the movie. I'd gone on Prime, and again, it's like, don't judge a book by its cover, But I'm guilty of doing that on a consistent basis, and I saw it, and I was like, I'm not sure how this is going to go, and I got to be honest, I was pleasantly surprised at how it turned out.
Yeah, no, this is a great ass movie. So I found a quote from the ending speech on one of my lo-fi playlists on Spotify, and I searched it up, I used the audio, I made a whole TikTok about it, and then I searched up the movie, and it looked really interesting, and it was like, the movie's about this politician who gets chosen to fill a vacancy in the Senate. Someone dies, and his nominator, Mr. Payne,
I believe it was his
chose
father
him
who died.
because his father died, right?
Yes. And he was given an honorary seat.
So I don't think it was his father that died that was in the Senate, because he had died. His father had died when he was a young boy, and it was somebody else in the Senate that Payne and Taylor had been controlling, and he had died. Later, when they're on the train towards Washington, they're actually having a conversation where they're talking about how Mr. Smith's dad died when he was younger.
Okay, because I remember the story about them finding his father slumped over his desk.
Yeah, it was over a whole investigative newspaper article that Mr. Smith's father was doing on somebody, and he had died because he was trying to oust the big company that he was ousting in a newspaper. That's what it was over.
So I should have watched this again. I definitely should have.
I watched it early today, so it's still pretty fresh in my head, so I still kind of have a good amount of the details sitting in my brain.
Yeah, I watched it a couple of days ago. But
I watched it just before we were supposed to record the podcast the first time last weekend.
Oh, boy.
So Mr. Payne nominates Mr. Smith to go take the place in Senate and just sit around and be his, little manipulative puppet.
Right.
Fucking
The thing,
Mr. Smith, he wants to start this community for boys. It's basically like Boy Scouts, right?
I think that's what it was. Basically, a camp for
the boy
boys.
Rangers. Yeah, it was the beginning idealism of Boy Scouts.
Yeah, he wanted to set up like an area for the Boy Scouts, and they were trying to like manipulate him into not doing that and selling the land to whatever fucking company.
They had put a bill forth that basically was going to provide the land to an outside contractor to build a dam.
Right.
Which basically would have destroyed the land that he wanted to build his camp on.
Right. And the great thing is that again, it was so much more deeper in the idealism of the camp, because he wanted to build a camp basically to structure the idea of true patriotism, not this whole twisted, construed idea that we have now, which is like, America is the greatest, and then this whole exactly. So it was so much deeper, where it was like his idealism was to create a place where the new leaders and the new citizens of America would have an idea of true patriotism. But what ended up happening was James Taylor, who owned that outside contracting company, who controlled Mr. Payne, was trying to just find a figurehead to kind of sit in the spot quietly and just listen to what he had to say and do what he said, instead of actually, fighting against it or actually being a part of the Senate.
Okay.
Woo, that was loud.
Yep. So that actually came over the podcast. I gotta find like I need a soundproofed room so bad it's not even funny. Like,
egg cartons,
building
man.
have a basement?
Egg cartons in a closet, bro.
There is not only a basement, but there's also like a little side storage area in the basement that my downstairs neighbors have basically just stuffed with hoarding stuff.
Oh, I was gonna say
the hoarding stuff will block out all the noise.
Yeah.
Right. Except for the noise of the washing machine running right next to it.
Fair enough.
I asked my landlord if I could have that space when what's his name? There was another guy that lived down there where Serenity and Chance are currently living. People you don't know, I don't think. My daughter and her boyfriend moved downstairs. But that little storage space was his, and then he gave it to my elder downstairs neighbors, and they moved some serious... There's all sorts of stuff in there. Like, it's packed to the point that they have to, like, push the door physically closed.
Jesus.
It's one of those, like, bad cartoons you see. They open the door, things just pour out for days.
Oh, my God.
It's bad.
Did you guys like the intro, by the way? I figured I'd ask before we hop back
that was
into
fantastic.
This.
Loved it.
That was
bueno.
Great. Smooth.
Bueno, yes.
But,
bueno.
Yeah, so...
This is a... Go ahead.
How do you guys feel about the movie, like, all together? Like, okay, so... We were all talking before the episode started about how we fucking hate the ending of the movie.
Okay.
Right.
The ending of the movie was just
horrible.
It was
so abrupt, and, like... How can you end the movie like that?
This is what I actually have a whole thing for the podcast for how the movie ended. Like, I have an idealism to put behind it of how I hated how it ended. But you got to think, back in the day, the way they wanted to end a movie, okay, mainly if you look at old school movies, they always hung it on a bit of a cliffhanger. It ended in a positive note, but it was always a bit of a cliffhanger. What happened? Did the boys' Rangers camp actually get built? Did this actually go through? What ended up happening to Mr. Payne when he was surrounded by the rest of the Senate? Like, what was the outcome of the whole situation? And that was kind of what I wanted to talk about as far as, when we get towards that part for the podcast itself.
Well, we are at that point right now. We're talking about it.
Okay. Okay, word. Hello, guys. I did not know we were back on here.
We're not on Cinematic. We're not on that other. We're not like on the Teatime part. We're on. We don't have a structure when it comes to Cinematic Anarchy.
Right.
It's we talk
again.
about
I had heard the
up.
train go by, and I wasn't sure if we had that go over or what had happened exactly.
Nope, that's we're just going through.
They ended movies on a cliffhanger with no expectation of sequel. Basically left it up to your imagination what might have happened after everything. Well, after what they considered a nice and tidy tying up of the story.
Right, exactly. And I mean, you look at a lot of old school movies, and they do that through, pretty much all of the movies they have. They always ended it on a positive note, in a sense, and they always made sure to kind of leave you thinking. More movies now, people are more about that instant gratification. They want the gratification of knowing exactly what happened, so they can end in a place where back in the day it was more like, think about it, like just think, like, what do you think? Do you think that it actually happened? Did they build the camp? Did they go through with the dam? What happened to Mr. Payne? I mean, at the end when he was surrounded, I was confused mainly when he was surrounded by the rest of the Senate. I couldn't tell if they were trying to tell him to shut up, or if it was more like, yo, what the hell? Like, what did you got? Like, what did you do? Like, that's messed up, bro. Or like how it actually ended up really working out with him.
Wait, so were they attacking Mr. Payne, or were they trying to go help Mr. Smith?
They were actually, so at the end, there was a part where they ended up going to help Mr. Smith, but a good portion of the Senate, when Mr. Payne came running in being like, hey, it was me, don't hate him, it was me that did this, they ended up surrounding Mr. Payne, and some of them you could see in the background were kind of like, whoa, or how, I'm not exactly sure because of the way the movie ended, what exactly was going on,
I don't know. It was just like all that build up from the fucking speech, and then he just passes out, and the movie ends.
I had a problem with that whole thing. I really did.
Yeah, it was, for me, it was like a very bittersweet moment because like
the speech like a little bit further, or a little bit earlier in the movie, so that you could like have a better, smoother ending toward.
I do agree. I think it was both bad and good because of the fact that, like, again, you're not really sure exactly what happened, but at the same time, I feel like it was a great way to end it because of the dramatization of what was going on. I mean, to end it in such a hectic idealism, it just leaves you hanging to think like, whoa, like that was heavy, and then just kind of trails off.
It makes me wonder how current Hollywood would handle a remake of a film like this. I don't think it would end the same.
Oh, no, definitely not. I agree. And I mean, there's going to be a lot of different things that Hollywood would do to, like, kind of adjust to how things are now. I mean, you look at a lot of the things. I literally, like, everything from social idealism to even, the civil rights movement. I mean, you look at, they try to be historically accurate, but now they're trying to also be sensitive to the whole idea as well of the civil rights activism. So because you only see five characters of color in that whole movie. There's 4 at the train, and there's only 1 that's a waiter in the whole movie. Now they would try to add more to it. They try to make it, maybe they would probably have the cook as that. They would probably have all kinds of different characters inside of there of people of color. Rather than that, I mean, that's only one aspect of it. You know what I'm saying? And, along with all the other things that they would try to really put together to make it a little more cinematic.
Very true. Very true.
In my opinion.
You also noticed one of the major contrasts, and I think we noticed this a couple podcasts ago when we watched the Vincent Price film, The Last Man on Earth. And I've been noticing this. I've been watching a lot of older films, like things that took place, like maybe early 50s and before. And you got this feeling that the movies are star-driven films. Not like what we have right now, where you have an ensemble cast or you have many different people that are quality actors right now. That they can actually, pull off their role and pull it off well. Where you have this here, James Stewart was the star of this film. Everybody else kind of was filler, subpar.
And in my opinion, to that actually, I have to disagree. I feel like personally, the star of the film was Clarissa. Honestly, if it wasn't for Clarissa, who was in pretty much every scene right up till when they got to Washington,
Jean Arthur,
none of this would have even had followed through the way it was. She was the one who helped put together the bill. She's the one who wanted to protect him against the daughter of Mr. Payne. She's the one who came in at the end in Congress the whole time. James Stewart is looking to her for advice. And she's the one that's consistently giving him advice, whether it was having James Stewart, he had his helper, the younger boy, who came up with a message from Clarissa to continue doing what he was doing for the good of the
she was
people.
like
And at the end,
him from the sidelines.
right, exactly. And I mean, even the president of the chair itself noticed that, and he was like looking up and he was smiling because he was like, wow, she's the one that's actually driving him, because she knows what's going on. He doesn't really want to do it, but he has the heart and the able, obviously being a man in Congress at the time, to be able to push what he needed to get through, and she was helping him with that. So I feel like, honestly, she was the main character, in my opinion.
Okay, I'm gonna say this. Thank you for that.
Yeah, right.
Because you basically took a film that I watched 3 times and looked at James Stewart as the absolute center of it, and you turned it on its ear for me. I didn't even think about the fact that she was technically the center of the entire film.
Yeah, the whole film, she was the absolute center. Because even you look at the part where she goes out with Diz, gets drunk, and she comes back to the office, grabs her shit, and tells him, you don't belong here. You're honest, you're this, you're that. And she's the one who's giving the driving force behind everything he's saying, to be like, you're too honest, you're too nice. Where she is giving him that idea, that bite back, to be able to go to Congress and say, hey, F you guys. I don't know if I can swear on here. I don't know. Is that okay?
No, you can.
Is that, yeah. Like, fuck you guys. You guys don't know what you're talking about. And blah, 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 blah. If it wasn't for her, nothing would have even conspired. James Stewart would have left when he came to the Lincoln Monument, sat there and cried by himself. If it wasn't for Clarissa meeting him there, saying, we need to address this. Do you want those boys being like, what did you do? Did you fight back? He wouldn't have done shit.
Yeah.
So, here's a little tidbit that I'm reading right now. The one thing that stands out to me, I'm reading a little bit about Jean Arthur as we're speaking now, because you're like I said, you just turned the film on its ear for me.
I'm glad.
Jean Arthur, before this film, had actually spent the 7 years prior as a silent film actress. This is one of the first films
God.
she spoke in.
That's amazing.
Well, she did fucking well.
She did amazing.
So she was a silent film actress. I mean, that's 1939. That's around the time where they still had silent films. Not quite as many talkies as they called it back then.
Right.
Yeah.
Movies, not talkies.
Yeah.
So yeah, just small tidbit. I'm sorry, you took the words out of my head for a moment there. I'm just listening to you, and I'm like.
Not a problem. I'm very, like, when it comes to movies, and this is actually, it's funny, because both of my girls, my wife and my girlfriend, whenever I watch a show or a movie with them, they always tell me, we can't watch movies or shows with you, because you pick apart this shit way too analytically, and you start being a driving force behind this, like, coming up with all these extra things that we didn't even think about, and we're like, we're just trying to watch the movie, man, and I'm like, no, but you don't understand, this is the whole point underneath the layer that you guys aren't seeing, like...
Fuck. Well, fuck, now I think I need to step up my game, bring it to a different level. I'm just sitting here listening to you like, okay, this is, Juni's Cinematic Anarchy.
Side characters that are actually the main characters.
I mean, and the thing is too, is like, I was super analytical with the way things were working out with this movie because of the whole political aspect of it. I mean, this isn't something, and I know, Chris, you had said there was a lot of separation between, the politics now and the politics then. But when it comes down to it, it really isn't. If you look at it like this, right? If all politicians in Congress,
I didn't think there was any separation between back then and now. As a matter of fact, outside of the one guy at the end.
Oh, he's in the Senate, by the way.
Okay.
Outside of the one senator at the end, like the guy that was supposed to be his puppet, or sorry,
right,
that was playing James Stewart like a puppet the entire time. Outside of that one senator coming clean, there's practically no difference.
Okay. Oh, I see what you're saying. All right. Yeah. I was going to say, yeah, it makes no difference because if you put it this way, right? If every senator in Congress were their sponsors like a NASCAR car, you would be seeing who is actually working behind these senators. I mean, if you're looking at certain senators and they're being run and they're having sponsors that are sponsoring them to go through GP oil, you're looking at things that have people running through Monsanto, all this stuff. you're going to start realizing what they're really putting these bills out for. It's not for the good of the people. It's for the good of the people that are sponsoring them. Because if you are getting people who are paying hundreds of thousands of dollars for your campaign, and even then, most of the time, and this is a great thing, is that we're taught that the president is the biggest thing we need to vote for. It's the coup de grace. It's what we are supposed to be really aiming for. When in all reality, that person makes no difference. All the control is in the Senate, and these people are sitting here for 20 to 30 years, and this movie shows that. When Taylor is telling Payne, I have given you this seat for 20 years, and you are doing what I am telling you to do, period. You don't have a choice. And it's like,
the guy that's telling him that, he's not even a politician. He is basically a corporate thug that pretty much runs the state that he's in. Owns everything. Exactly. And that's what we're running through now. If we could really show the people now that your votes should really be going to the Congress. You should be focused on Congress votes, because the Congress are the ones that write the bills, and they go through the House of Representatives, come back there, they go back and forth consistently trying to pass these bills. This is what needs to be done. The problem is everybody's like, the president, Trump, Biden, this. He's like, no. These guys are figureheads. These guys have, eventually sign off on a final idealism of what they're coming out with these bills. They are not the actual ones who are making that solid difference. Juni, I'm going to stop you for just one moment. I'm going to stop you for just one moment, only to say one thing, and I want to apologize for what I'm about to say, but everything you're saying right now comes after the break.
Fair enough.
That's going to be the big part of the second half of our podcast, is kind of looking at this and comparing what we have here to current day politics and the stuff that's been going on the past year, really.
Gotcha. Yeah, I start getting into it, and I start just riding off, and that's
that's fine. Ride off into the fucking sunset. We were listening to you, and I'm just like, damn, fuck.
I'm ready to go.
Again, I'm looking at imaginary notes that I don't fucking have. I didn't set anything up for this podcast. I'm like, hey, I watched this a week. I
am freestyling 99.9% of this. It's like my life. I'm kind of bullshitting my way through it, and then I'm a little impressed that it's actually working.
Well, you have got some seriously dead-on and accurate bullshit, let me tell you.
Appreciate it.
Well, I'll take 2 seconds. I think we're about to tie up the front end of the podcast. I don't see Omar anyway, so I'm going to take 2 seconds, give you a quick shout out. Juni, fantastic gentleman. He is going to be creating music for the Cinematic Anarchy podcast. Season 3 is coming up in about a month. And at that time, we're going to have new music heading the beginning of the podcast by our own Juni, who you can find him on YouTube, Juni the Wiccan.
Yep, so YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, SoundCloud, pretty much any streaming platform. You can find me under Juni the Wiccan. I'm actually working on if you mind if I throw this in real quick.
No, honestly, this is your part. Go ahead.
I'm actually working on a record deal right now with Island Records, one of the bigger record labels at the moment, and I might be getting a real solid record deal, anywhere from $250,000 and up. So
nice.
We're working on this.
Congrats.
$250,000. That's nothing to spit at all.
No, absolutely not. I'll tell you one thing. My friends are like, "Don't sign it," and I'm like, "I don't know about you, but $250,000 seems fucking mint."
Considering how music sales are right now, like we're not in the heyday of CDs and tapes and vinyl. People are downloading everything to their phones, and they're getting pennies on the dollar from what they used to. So if you can,
and I know exactly that feeling because of the fact that I distribute my stuff through somebody who gives me penny on the dollars for the downloads or the plays that I get, and that's just, it's a pain, but it works. It's still money.
If you can get $250,000 for a debut album, fucking do it.
Send it.
Put your check in the bank and be proud of the fact that somebody said your work is worth our time. And
exactly. First thing I'm doing, buying a house for my family and paying off my wife's college loans. That's my first 2 things to do with that plan.
So that's he already does. He actually, if you want to listen to the not the Cinematic Anarchy podcast, the Teatime with Honey podcast, which by the way will also be going solo next year. We're going to be moving her to her own platform so she can have her own thing.
Yes, I love it.
But then that also means you can't get away with being buried in our content. So when you skip a week, people are going to notice.
God damn it.
You hear that? You got to be consistent.
A lot.
I'm gonna keep on you. I'm gonna end up being a permanent person on Teatime. I'm gonna keep on you about that.
Well, you know what you do? You do what I did with you. We gave you a little bit of time. Yeah. We gave you your voice. We gave Omar his thing, and your podcast became its own thing. It became an extra part of the podcast. What you do is you have somebody else that does the same thing. Bring up their first few episodes underneath your podcast. If you're not going to be there all the time, you have a person on the off week to do something.
Hell yeah.
No problem with promoting friends at all. Right, Juni?
Damn right.
Promote yourself. That's what we're here for. We're here to support our friends and make sure that everybody's dreams come true. Period.
Hell yeah.
I don't know why I'm giving people thumbs up here. I have no idea where the thumb came from. Nobody on the fucking podcast can see me popping thumbs up. I look.
We can see you, and that's all that matters, man.
This is a week worth of
being an asshole.
It's a week worth of exhaustion just hitting me like a fucking brick.
Understandable.
I fucking feel you.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna go to our sponsor, and when we come back, we'll be doing the Teatime podcast.
Righteous.
Second half of the podcast. Yes.
Word. Alrighty, guys. Thanks for sticking around through the singular sponsor. Yes, for now.
Yes, just one for now.
We're getting into the Teatime half of the episodes where you can rant about whatever the fuck we want to rant about.
It's all politics right now. There's nothing else in the news that, as far as I can see, politics and COVID.
It's all politics, regardless. It's fucking a politics movie.
Politics. COVID. Oh, and the Redditors that stormed Wall Street.
Oh my god, dude. I woke up to that shit on Twitter this morning, and I don't know, I was so happy to see that fucking Reddit crashed the stock market.
Dude, if I had $1 for how many times I've heard my friends telling me to start stocks within the last week, I could wipe my ass with $100 bills. Like, it's...
Dude, my grandfather's been trying to get me into stocks for a while.
Right.
Right. I've been thinking about it. I even have the Stash app. And then this whole thing happened today, and I realized they blocked a ton of different sales for different things that the Redditors were doing. GameStop being one of them.
Wow. Yeah, I saw that too. And you know what's funny? I posted a meme earlier about it being like when all your hippie friends start getting onto the stock market and telling you and thinking they're Wook of Wall Street. And it had me dying because all of my friends up here are Wooks, and you know, it's wild because every single one of them have been, dude, have you ever gotten into stocks before? You ever done stocks before? You ever done all these stocks? Blah blah. And I'm like, no, dude, like I'm good. Like, y'all weren't interested in the stock market until this whole Reddit thing happened, and now all of a sudden you guys are these fucking stockbroker geniuses that think they know what they're doing, and all of my friends are just like hemorrhaging money because they don't know what they're doing over the like actual trading. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, if I was to get into that, I'm going to study it first before I go and just jump into it because some people on Reddit told me to, you know?
Right. Well, what they're trying to do is they're trying to upend the stock market right now.
Right.
Your average person just doesn't go out there and start pumping money into the stock market. It just doesn't happen.
Right.
So they're trying to create a certain kind of chaos because let's be honest, the stock market shouldn't be doing as well as it is right now. It really shouldn't.
Right.
How many jobs have been lost, and I got nothing else to say about it.
Can you guys hear this guy?
Yeah,
we can.
Oh my fucking god, they can hear you clear as goddamn day.
I even heard him when he tried to. I heard him when he tried to whisper too, thinking he wasn't that loud. I just heard.
You know.
Oh my god, Fred is over here like, how is it that you can hear me from over there, but you can't hear me when we're sharing headphones?
Right. That's a good question.
You don't whisper quietly, but somehow you talk You mumble when you talk, and it's just fucking.
Well, when it comes down to it, not to be this guy, but as a you know a civilian of the Puerto Rican community, is he Hispanic?
Yeah, he's Puerto Rican.
Yeah, okay, so yeah, no, he can't do anything quietly. It's just as simple as that. I know that for a fact because I'm Puerto Rican, and I know for a fact I can't do a damn thing that I do quietly. Walk, talk, whisper, none of it.
No, but he knows that I'm recording right now, and he's just doing this and looking at me.
I'm the wrong kind of white person to be loud.
I fucking hate you.
Chris came in and really dropped that bomb on us right there. He said, "I'm the wrong white person to be loud."
No, I am not that part of the. I don't even know what to call it. The Caucasian community.
The Caucasian community. I like that. The CC, Caucasian community.
Those assholes are tired of hearing from old white men.
Oh my god.
I said it the last podcast. The last podcast I was on with Miss B. I said exactly these words. We have heard enough from old white men for a good long time. We're done.
Oh my god!
I don't need to have any input.
Oh my god, that's great.
Hattie fucking that made her night.
I sat back and just let them talk. Occasionally, they let me speak because I was like,
Well, what I love is Nikki knows that we can hear Fredo, and she won't mute it until this dude's done talking. She just like, we know we can hear you.
I needed to make sure for a second. Fucking, this guy's mad annoying. He knows fucking. Oh god.
Where's the ball gag?
This guy. Chris has the right idea. I mean, you can make one out of a sock. It's not that hard.
Little bit of rope for the wrists and some duct tape for the mouth, and you're good. That's all you need.
Chris sounds like he's done this before, and I'm a little afraid of the situation.
Oh no, it's all BDSM. We're good. Nothing malevolent. It's all above board BDSM stuff. You know.
It's all consent.
It's all consensual. Up until you rip the fucking tape off, and then it's not consensual anymore.
Yo, you don't got a mustache no more, bro.
That is waxing the hard fucking way. Gorilla Glue tape.
Anyway,
we're not even like talking about what we were going to talk about. Not even close.
Anyway.
We got sidetracked by your boyfriend, Nico.
Bro, he's mad annoying. I'm like, can you just shut the fuck up for like maybe 15 more minutes? And he fucking big stupid grin just shakes his head no.
You shouldn't have said anything. You should have been like, keep talking. He would have shut right up, I bet.
You don't even understand the loud swaths of silence.
Honestly, oh god.
Like, he's in the background
with this man.
And we can kind of hear him, but he is just low enough that the mic is not picking him up at all. So it just sounds like us talking amongst ourselves and then just large swaths of silence afterwards.
It's just us over here talking shit about nobody that's actually there. Like
talking to fucking ghosts in the room. That's it.
That's how we do. Welcome to Tea Time with Honey Bee Kind, where we like to talk to ghosts, mainly talk shit to them.
Oh, I just downloaded the paranormal stuff pack on fucking Sims.
Oh, of course you did.
It was only $10.
I stopped buying the stuff because now they bundle them, so you can go in and you can bundle 1, 2, 3 and get it all for a low price. I do that now.
Yeah, I did that too many times, so now I don't have enough packs to bundle.
I'm not paying the $90 if I can bundle 3 together and spend $40. Why am I going to do that?
So you see, Nikki, where we're talking about, you could have taken that $10 and put it towards the mic we were talking about, but
I could have done that. But you know what? I spent it on a game that Sims. I play every day.
Do you play Sometimes. Sims every day?
Lately, I've been playing every day. I made Prudence Night, and I moved her into the haunted house.
They are talking for the Sims. An upgrade to make it multiplayer.
Oh.
See, I keep seeing in like Sims community.
I said talking. I didn't say that they're actually implementing.
I haven't.
Twitter that they're trying to like work on Sims 5 and this and that, and they're still coming out with packs for Sims 4, and they're still working on updates and shit for Sims 4.
I haven't played Sims since I was like 13, and I was with my cousin, and he had it for the PC, and he was like, dude, you gotta play this game, you gotta try it, make a character, build your house, all this shit. And I remember playing it being like, so what's the point of the game? And he's like, just live. And I'm like, I'm already doing that. Like, why do I need like, you might as well just consider Sims like the simulation of the simulation we're already in. Like,
I keep finding like new stuff in the Sims that like I didn't know about before. Like there's this fucking like alien world Sixum that you can go to. I mean, you can't really build there, but it's an alien world. There's little like fucking rabbit holes and
all right,
I don't know, fun little things that you can find around different worlds.
Okay, so let's get back to the actual subject of.
Anyway, back to what we were going to talk about.
Actual, let's
steer us, Captain. Captain,
Captain, my Captain. Fucking sucks. No, not so much anymore. Actually, fucking Democrats control the Senate, so maybe we'll actually get that $1,400.
Well, here's the thing: is that in my opinion on everything, right? It doesn't matter who controls the Senate. I think it sucks in general. Politics suck in general. If you think that one party or the other has your interest, you kind of blindsided on that because they really don't care whether or not they're going to give you that stimulus. It doesn't matter. They have some sort of reasoning behind it. It doesn't really matter that they're going to give it to you or they don't. What it comes down to is the fact that they have a underlying reason why they're going to do what they do, period.
Yeah.
The Democrats do not control the Senate, by the way. Just so you're well aware of that. The Democrats do not control the Senate. They have a majority in the Senate right now. But to have control of the Senate, they would need to have 2/3 Democrats, and then on the other side, the Republicans need to be about 1/3 for any given vote. Right. So for real control of the Senate, there needs to be a lot more Democrats. They just have a majority at this point, not a controlling interest, so to speak.
Yeah. But
yeah, again, when it comes down to it,
we don't have a lot of people like in the Senate besides like Bernie Sanders who are fighting for actual decent policies.
Right. And I mean, even like, so as a Vermont resident, as a person who is a resident of Vermont who has been watching Bernie Sanders move through, whether it was presidential candidacy or whatever it may have been, I still think, like, even Bernie Sanders, I've seen him, dude, he is, in a sense, is speaking in a sense that appeases towards the people. Do I believe he has the people's interest in his mind? No. He's a politician. Politicians get into politics for the one reason and the one reason only, which is the fact that they have the ability to manipulate whatever it is that they want to their expense. So when it comes down to it, Bernie Sanders may speak. Think about it like this, all right? Coming from this end. Look at it like this. Trump spoke in an idealism that spoke to a certain type of people. You know what I'm saying?
And Bernie's appealing to
a certain type of people.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it just because he's saying that this is it, all he's doing is appealing to people that believe in his cause. Doesn't mean he's actually looking out. Right, exactly. Or he's actually looking out for the people's interest. All that is manipulative gameplay. That's all it is, especially when it comes to politics. Especially now. Now there's really no such thing as a politician who's actually out for the interest of the people. It's more along the lines of like, and there may be a few, but they're very underground. I mean, when you think about it like this, right? In the rap game, there's a lot of underground artists who speak on consciousness. There's ones who speak on things as far as, dimethyltryptamine experiences that lead you to a higher point of thinking, kundalini energy, things that really would affect people's outlook on life. They're not the ones that are getting promoted right now. They're not the ones who you hear about, like Bernie Sanders. You hear about people like J. Cole or Kendrick or people like that who are like, well, these people are conscious rappers. Well, they're still getting promoted. That means there's an underlying reason why that's happening. But there's politicians like rappers who are underlying right now in the underground who are speaking for the people, but you don't hear them because, have you ever heard of Capital Steez?
No.
Exactly. Capital Steez was one of the greatest rappers of our time. Spoke about straight consciousness. Anytime he got into an interview, spoke about the consciousness of human beings and how we needed to appreciate time the way it was, which is in the now. Which, he said, people see a bee. This is one of my favorite quotes by him. People see a bee and it lands on a flower and they're like, oh, that's a bee, getting nectar from a flower. When in reality, he would sit down and watch that bee and he was like, it's collecting pollen. It's getting nectar. It's creating life. It's creating breath. It's creating oxygen. Without that bee, we wouldn't be. And you don't know who that is. And there's a reason for that. It's because they don't want you to think like that. When I say they, I mean the underlying powers. You want to go into the whole, idealism of craziness behind it. But it's the same thing with politics.
The Hollywood cults.
Exactly.
Let's be entirely honest. Whether it's the music industry, whether it's Hollywood, whether it's professional sports, basically when you're being catered to, when you're basically being provided with some kind of sensory input, whether it's your movie, music, whatever, they want you to be inundated with things that basically require absolutely no thought whatsoever, but also stimulate the pleasure center of your brain. So the pleasure center, basically, all they want is for you to be happy, but not think about the shit that's going on around you. Period. Yeah.
Exactly. It's distraction. It's just distraction. Again, that's why I bring it back into a whole loop with Bernie Sanders. People are like, Bernie for president, but when it comes down to it, you know who Bernie is. Everybody knows who Bernie is, and there's a fucking reason for that. It's not because he has the people's interest in mind. It's because he has his own idealism that's trying to play in. And I'm not saying I'm against Bernie. I'm not saying I'm against these people. But when it comes down to it, he should be happy that he's in the Senate. Why isn't he's happy he's in the Senate? It's because he could be pushing these bills and all these things, but he's trying to shoot for president. Why? It's because that's what people's worried about, instead of actually worrying about the problematic thing. I mean, you even looking into this, right? We're taught that, there's the 3 forms of government. And the thing is that we don't look into the things like Senate, and the big thing a lot of people don't know is you vote judges in.
Yeah.
Yep.
You vote judges in.
And nobody even thinks about going to vote for judges.
No, nobody. Most people don't know you vote for judges. And the thing is that judges are the ones that make the decision on who's going to jail and who's not going to jail and what sentences they serve and how the crime rate affects. And now somewhere has a higher crime rate because a judge who has been, quote unquote, voted in or has been there for 20 years, who has an idealism that they keep to, now the crime rate's higher in that place. Is because they don't believe in these or this or that. And because of that, we are suffering. We have a higher crime rate because these old, again, like Chris said, we're tired of hearing old white men, you know what I'm saying, and things like that. Yeah. There's these older people who have a specific way of thinking that won't change their way of thinking. And because of the fact that we don't know we can go vote for these people and get them out of office to put in new people, these idealisms aren't changing. So our crime rates are growing even though our laws are slowly moving forward.
Exactly. Look at this guy going on fucking rants and keeping the conversation going. Hey, fuck this guy.
This is why we have Juni on the podcast, because you don't hear silence when he's on here. Ever. Like, ever.
Never. I talk too much. I have ADHD. Actually, I can't stop.
You're absolutely wrong. That's good for us. I'm sorry. I'm absolutely wrong. Not you're wrong. I'm wrong. There is silence on the podcast when he's made a couple of points where me and you just like, okay.
I try to take a breath. I try to take a breath so I can sit and be like, okay, hold on, Juni, you're talking too much. Let everybody else give their opinion. You guys are just looking at me like, hey, dude, keep going. And I'm like, is that a signal? We got to have hand signs or something going on here. Like,
right?
You're doing good, buddy.
Right on.
Okay. So, I had something to say and I completely forgot. Damn it. Fuck.
Well, if I can make one more point about the movie as well and how it connects in, I honestly think it was amazing. I think this movie, in my opinion, was ahead of its time. And reason being is because they didn't make this movie about the president. They didn't make this movie about, like the basic, like they kind of wanted to make sure that, I mean, again, you got to think right before everything that was happening during this time, this is when everything started to kind of keep us distracted. The fact that this movie was made about a politician, a senator specifically in Congress, who was honest, who had the people's idealism inside of this, to be able to portray that was so ahead of its time, versus what you see now, in my opinion.
Also, on another note on the movie, notice they never mentioned. Oh my God, I'm on 10%. Notice they never mentioned either of the political parties once in the movie.
That part.
I'm going to bring up a quote that I firmly believe in. This is a Robin Williams quote. He did this during one of his stand-up specials.
Okay.
And I'm going to read it directly here. Politicians should wear sponsor jackets just like NASCAR drivers so we know who own them.
Yep. I agree.
I said that. I did forgot who the quote was by, but I said that exact thing earlier. That
Exactly.
right there. And that's the craziest thing, man, is that if we did not know who owned half of these politicians, we wouldn't. We don't know.
We wouldn't support them.
Wouldn't support them.
If you're being sponsored by Pfizer, if you're being sponsored by fucking Big Oil, BP, whatever, if you're being sponsored by one of these major companies, you should be wearing it on your sleeve. This is the person who's paying for your campaign. Those are the people who you're technically working for when you get into office.
Exactly.
Because the general American public would be foolish to believe that your average politician isn't a puppet to the people that actually pay their way into that office. You know,
right? And they're not actually working for that. They're not out here getting the spot. I mean, one of the greatest quotes inside of this movie, I'm not even joking, it was when Mr. Payne is talking to Mr. Smith, and he says, what do you think it's about? Votes? Half of the people don't even show up to vote.
Yeah.
He literally says that in the movie. Half of these people don't even show up to vote. And because of that, we, as a people, are being sponsored to be here. He said, if you want this seat for the next 20 or 30 years, you will play ball. The exact words that are still applicable almost 100 years later. We, in one of my songs, I even say this, you know, when it comes that are stale and racist, we move at the pace of a snail. And it's like, it's so true, because we don't make leaps and bounds when it comes to laws and when it comes to idealism. What we do as a human race is we're so scared to change. We're so scared to step away from what is the norm that we won't make those leaps and bounds. We want to see how the little bits affect us rather than just making a leap or a bound to see how much greater or even lesser that specific decision would make, so we could really justify or really solidify how that idealism works for us. And that's the problem with politics nowadays, is that we refuse to make leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I mean,
goddamn, fucking deep as shit.
He gets real deep, and then we're both sitting here in dead silence, just thinking afterwards,
like dumbfounded.
Well,
I have too much time to think about this stuff as an artist, and you know, it comes out, and again, I've been getting a lot of messages from people being like, hey, you know, we miss all the extra conscious stuff, and I was like, the thing is that I'm still spitting the same consciousness, but a more simplistic form that you guys can understand, rather than coming out with this complex idealism that kind of feeds into the mind of your normal average Joe, you know?
Yeah.
So, way you have to really look at it. Candidate number X, or candidate X,
yes.
The Democratic candidate.
Yeah.
He's running for office, and you got the Republican candidate, he's running for office, you got the independent candidate, and he's running for office. And it's the same people behind each one of these people sponsoring them. And the amount of money that goes into any particular candidate is directly proportionate to how likely they are to win. So, you've got Pfizer basically investing little bits of money, getting ad time for each one of these candidates, and then they realize, well, over here, the Democratic candidate, he's charismatic as fucking hell and looks like he's going to win. So now they start investing their money over here because they know who's going to end up in office. This is the guy that we want to put our money on now. All right, so now you've got these guys over here who have a little bit less money. They're running off of, whatever they're doing, they're doing to drum up the money for their campaigns, and now Pfizer's putting all their money behind the candidate that may actually have a good chance to win.
Right.
So it doesn't matter who it is that's going into office. It just depends on who's charismatic enough to get from point A to point B. And that's where all these big companies start investing their money, because they need their puppet in office.
And again, how perfect was it that Trump was in office for 4 years and the people got so fucking frustrated, the majority of the people got so frustrated with how things were going that they decided to vote for the next candidate who was being pushed and promoted the most. Before this whole candidacy even started, it was already Trump and Biden. There wasn't advertisement for other people, and if there was, it was very minimal. You weren't seeing multiple 8-10 candidates. It was before Trump even got into his second year of office, we were hearing Trump and Biden. Right. This shit has been in play for this long. Again, what you say, it's all the same company investing on who's the next person that people are like, this is who we want. Look at the majority. You say the majority's here. I'm investing in the majority because that's where I'm going to get my money back.
It's like going out to the horse races, except for the same guy owns all the fucking horses. He doesn't care who wins.
He doesn't care who wins, because you know what? He's still winning the 25% off of the bet that you made. Why the fuck does he care who won?
I don't care which one of these horses wins, because when it comes right down to it, at the end of the day, I own all of them.
And I make all money off of all of them, so it doesn't make a difference. It's the same thing. It's the same exact idealism. Politics, stock markets, betting, gambling, all of it is in the same interest for the people who own that facility, who own that idealism.
Essentially, who runs the country? It's not the politicians.
Hell no.
Yeah.
Nope. It's not the politicians that run the country.
Welcome to Juni the Wiccan, first degree EA Freemason.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Now, next podcast we'll be talking about the Illuminati.
Ooh, I'm actually a legitimate Freemason, so this should be an interesting conversation.
Oh wait, no, I was kidding. You want to do that? I mean,
I'm not joking. I'm legitimately an entered apprentice Freemason. That is actually such a very interesting topic. A lot of people, they get into this whole idealism of like, oh, Freemasons run it and stuff. Yeah, the skull and bones. Yeah, we don't like the bonesmen, but we get pinned for everything. Who's the rich one? Skull and bones.
Fair enough.
I am on 5%, guys.
Sounds like we should probably tie this whole thing up for the day.
Fair enough.
This is a great episode.
Yeah,
solid.
Yeah, it's a rarity that we get to do both the political and the movie shit at the same time. So.
Not
Fair
really.
enough.
I kind of just like throw politics into everything.
Well, we were doing this shit right here before we split everything up.
Yeah.
You remember?
So here's the question, guys: Am I a permanent member?
Yeah.
Of the podcast.
You see, when we start this group chat, your name is there like every time. Yeah, we're there.
Fair enough.
Whether or not you're available, on the other hand.
Yeah, I gotta make a new like little group photo for the fucking cover photo on the page.
And I am.
Seth doesn't exist anymore.
Seth doesn't exist until COVID doesn't exist, which could be a long time.
Yep.
Seth doesn't exist anymore. He disappeared.
I am actively looking for new members for the podcast. I mean, it's a little stressful to say it to everybody. Once a week you have to be here because people want their weekends. They want to have their weekends free on occasion.
Biggest thing for me is I have, especially right now, after I got laid off of my job from COVID, I have nothing but time. So I am available. I have finally gotten my shit together, and I'm all together, and I'm ready to go.
Word.
Okay, that sounds good to me.
Hell yeah.
I'm not sure what we're watching next weekend or what our topic is for tea time. If you want to research the Illuminati, we can. That I'm actually going to want to read up a little bit about before I start. I don't want to jump into the podcast.
It goes so deep into the Hermetic age of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, Aleister Crowley. All of this leads right into that whole idealism. So I have so much when it comes to this. When the whole idea of the Illuminati was a Bavarian, just save it for the next thing.
I think, you know who we should have on that podcast? We should try to bring what's his name there? Your other friend.
Vibes
and Juni on the podcast at the same time.
I'll hit him up.
Hit him up.
I'm with it. I'm with it.
I think if you can get Vibes and Juni, or if you can even get Spooky to sit down for 2 seconds. I know she's busy doing her vacation now.
Yeah.
Maybe if she's out and about, we won't hear her mom and her dog playing in the background.
I'll check it out. I haven't talked to Vibes in a bit, but
Spooky's mom.
I'm pretty sure you guys would just like take over that entire episode, and I'd be totally okay with it.
So they're special guests for a reason. Let them talk. And he's not a special guest anymore. After today, he needs to be on this podcast more often. That's that freewheeling structure that we need.
We're just gonna hear Chris and Nikki in the background, like peanut gallery commentating, while me and Homeboy just kind of go back and forth at it and see how it goes.
You guys will stop. We'll be like, "What? You wanted us to talk? What? Oh, I got nothing to say. Keep going. Go. Fuck. All right. Thank you for sitting down and listening to us. Teatime at Honey. Yeah, Teatime with Honey and Cinematic Anarchy. Special guest Juni the Wiccan. Thank you for listening to us today, and keep an eye out for Juni. He's got his new single up on SoundCloud right now. Listen to him on Spotify.
New single called Sunsets. I'll have that up on Spotify, Apple Music, It's on SoundCloud right now, but I'll have it up on all of the platforms relatively soon, within the next week or two. So definitely go check that out. Juni the Wiccan, Sunsets.
And we'll make sure to go ahead and put our your links up on Facebook, Twitter, so on and so forth. Get that all out there for you. And all right. Have a good night. Peace.
Beautiful.
Peace.
Up in the sky, so keep it real, yeah. You said I was free to leave, knew I was gonna stay. I'm a honeybee kind, always in the front view, never looking behind. Always in the present moment, never have to rewind. Always chilling while we sit back and recline like a honeybee kind. Yeah, I said honeybee kind, yeah. Cause I came back when you told me to go away, and you said I was free to leave, but you knew I was gonna stay. You have been burning for your love, yeah.